The real effective exchange rate, REER, is a measure of the weighted average of a country's currency against an inflation-adjusted and trade-weighted index of other currencies. The trade weighting is done by comparing a country's trade deficits relative to its main trading partners. This comparison is made between each currency included in the index. The inflation adjustment is made by comparing the purchasing power of each currency relative to one another. The currencies in the REER index are those most commonly traded today: the US dollar, the euro, yen, etc. By looking at the REER, economists can tell which countries have lost their competitiveness relative to other countries. REER is also very important in assessing currency value equilibrium, as well as trade balance flows and what drives them. The World Bank and the Bank for International Settlements regularly publish REERs. Note that different banks often use slightly different methodologies to calculate the REER. In addition, some include more countries in the index than others. While REERs help economists and policymakers in research, analysis, and policymaking, they are not used much for business and investment decisions. Instead, businesses and currency traders use the more familiar nominal exchange rates, which are determined by currency trades in the foreign exchange markets.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, there still seems to be some major confusion about what a real effective exchange rate is versus an actual nominal exchange rate. I keep hearing people say, well, Pimpy, as soon as Iraq gets to a real effective exchange rate, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, even if there is a real effective exchange rate, what's that got to do with the nominal exchange rate? So let's get into this just a little bit so you guys know what you guys are up against and what you're looking for. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. Look, you guys, we already had some good news. We got an idea of what the exchange rate is going to be, okay? You don't have to add on all this extra stuff and make things complicated for you. You can tell by the way people are talking that they're confusing something. They're confusing the real effective exchange rate versus the nominal exchange rate. That's why everybody's going, yeah, wait till we get a real effective exchange rate. What are you talking about? That's not the same as a nominal. This is a nominal exchange rate. We already know what that is. This is what a real effective exchange rate looks like. Explain to me why it is, again, you're waiting for a real effective exchange rate? That's somehow going to change the exchange rate that's there now? They're two different things. And yes, I get it. Let's use your pronouns. You have wrong and misinformed out there telling you guys the wrong information again. Nominal versus the real effective exchange rate. Let's take a look at the salaries over there in Iraq. Highest paying salary jobs. Surgeon is the top job over there in Iraq. And they make US dollars, $2,400. This is monthly, just so you're aware. So surgeons make $2,400 a month. Doctors make $2,200 a month. CEOs get $2,100. So registered nurses, anesthesia, they make $2,100 per month. These are the top money earning jobs over there in Iraq. This is their pay in US dollars per month. 3 of the top 4 have to do with the medical field. 100% of the people, nearly everyone, earns less than $2,500. 75% of the population make less than $770 per month. 50% of them earn $540 or less per month. And 25% of them earn less than $400 per month. This is your average monthly salaries over there in Iraq. This is the new Central Bank of Iraq. It's past the halfway mark of being built. This is one of those major projects over there that cannot be done at an exchange rate of 1,320 dinars. Isn't that what you're told? It's funny because I heard an individual try to imply that the only reason why they were able to get these things done at an exchange rate of 1,320 is because they were getting money from the development fund. Well, that's what it's for. Let me show you something that could put an end to that real quick. I want you to think about this. So when Iraq sells oils, they sell them in US dollars, and those US dollars used to go right into the development fund. Now it's called the Iraq 2. And yes, it's in US dollars. Iraq makes approximately $153 billion in oil sales per year. That's $12,750 million per month. The cost to build the Iraq Central Bank, the one I just showed you a picture of, the estimated cost of that project is $772 million. The power stations that are being built over in Iraq, that entire project is $3.6 billion. Here's the crazy thing about it. For every year that they don't have those power stations, they are losing $40 billion per year. The sewage project's $200,000. There is a bridge project over there. There's 5 bridges that are being put up. I believe 2 of them have already been built. But the entire project's going to cost $9.2 billion. The Port of Fa, that project is $17 billion. The Development Road Project hasn't started yet, but the project is for $17 billion. If you add all those up, you're looking at $79,972 million for all those projects. That's just a little over half of what Iraq makes in oil sales per year. So you're trying to tell me they can't afford to do these projects with the exchange rate of 1,320 dinars? What are you talking about? You just seen their salaries. Does Iraq look like they can't pay salaries? Of course they can. But these are your top paying jobs over there. Do you see construction on here at all? No, the labor work over there in Iraq is cheap. When they do their budgets, are already baked in. See, well, the DFI used to pay it, and that's why they paid in American dollars, and it wasn't being paid in Iraqi dinars, and blah, 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 blah. Don't make an excuse because you've been proven wrong time and time again. They can afford to pay the... You know what? If Iraq wanted to, they could pay all these projects at one time. That's how much money they have. They could go, you know what? Forget making payments, because they don't make all these payments at one time. They pay as they go along. But if they wanted to, Iraq could just go, you know what? Here's all the money, all at one time. And still have just a little under half of how much money they make per year just off oil sales. This is just a small example. I took, the top big projects that are going on. They're almost done with the exchange rate of 1,320 dinars. They were doing this with the exchange rate of 1,450 dinars. The point being, their budget is already taken in consideration all of the money necessary, whether it's in Iraqi dinars or American dollars. It doesn't matter. Changing it from one to the other isn't going to make a difference. Going, well, the FDI is in American dollars, but the new Iraq 2 is going to be in dinars. Therefore, they can't afford it. What the hell are you talking about? Seriously? So what is a real effective exchange rate? I just showed you guys a video explaining to you what a real effective exchange rate is. A country's real effective exchange rate is essentially for assessing its trade capabilities, determining its currency's equilibrium value, analyzing trade flow factors, and understanding how external influences like competition and technological changes impact its economy. Changes in the rear can affect trade dynamics significantly, especially with major trade partners. An increase in a nation's rear is an indication that the exports are becoming more expensive and its imports are becoming cheaper. It is losing its trade competitiveness. So the rears is used to check out its competitiveness with other trade partners. That's it. You can tell out there in the dinar community it's being used like a nominal exchange rate. No, they're two different things. Iraq's controlled exchange rate system. The primary reason why Iraq doesn't have a real effective exchange rate is due to its controlled exchange rate system. Unlike free-floating currencies whose values are determined by foreign exchange market, the Central Bank of Iraq controls the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. This lack of flexibility and market-driven valuation hampers the effectiveness of the exchange rate. So we've seen in the news today that the banks got their ratings, and they did pretty decent. But Saleh over here is talking about the problem is you have these banks. The only way they have anything really on their balance sheets is because they do business with one another. That's it. Not enough customers in these banks. That's always been a problem for Iraq. Look at this. The percentage of people with a bank account in Iraq has been relatively low compared to the global average. According to the data provided from 2021, shows that 15.76% of the population in Iraq had a bank account. And of that 15.76%, despite the reforms, only 23% of adults in Iraq owns a bank account, which is lower than their neighboring economies. The country has a total of 74 banking institutions contributing minimally to the national GDP. State-owned banks dominate the sector but are overshadowed by privately owned banks in terms of capital. They're trying everything to get the Iraqi people into the bank to do business. But like I stated, the Iraqi people, they do not trust the banks, as you can see right here. And banks rely on the customers. You see, they take their money, they deposit it in the bank. Then the bank turns around and lends out their money at an interest rate, whether it's for cars, houses, apartments, whatever it is that people want the money for. And then the people pay that money back with interest. This is how a bank contributes to the GDP. But if nobody's going into the bank and nobody's taking out loans, that's not very good. Al-Sudani is stating that he has some reforms that he's going to use. You know, falling short of forcing people into the bank, and even if you tried last time, you remember when they decided to go paperless, remember this? The people protested. They rose up real quick. They don't trust the banks. So if you try to make them go paperless 100% and they have to turn in their currency for digital currency, all hell's going to break loose. Anyways, I know you guys keep bringing this up to me. The effective exchange rate. I go, what do you think that means to you? You guys can't tell me because you guys have no idea. I understand that. I don't want you guys to confuse what's going on. Because you have one of those people out there that keep telling you guys, well, we're waiting for Iraq's effective exchange rate. Well, the effective exchange rate is not the same as a nominal exchange rate. So while you're waiting for it, I don't know what for. All that does is measure a country's competitiveness in trading. And it's not the same thing as a nominal exchange rate. Anyways, I hope that clears that up. Look, Iraq is right on track to do some great things. And they're going to continue to do that. Let's get these coalition forces out of there. Plus the United States military, which is why I think Al-Sudani is coming over here to talk to the president to see about getting these people out of there and leaving Iraq on its own devices. We'll see what happens from there. Anyways, that's it for now. I look forward to your comments, and I'll catch you later. I'm out.